Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. So um, we are now recording. Um, so let me introduce Jeff. So if you've listened to any of the more than 725 Blind Abilities podcast that Jeff has produced, I'm sure you'll uh, no doubt feel that Jeff is an old friend. He's been uh, doing all this podcasting and blogging about blindness, I think since 2014, maybe even a little bit before that. Um, the Blind Abilities podcasts cover uh, everything blindness related. So they have a focus on education, technology, and employment. Jeff has also been a woodworking instructor, including teaching out here at the Enchanted Hills camp in Napa. Jeff, for those not familiar with your podcast, would you like to tell everybody how they can follow you?
You bet. I'm Jeff Thompson, Blind Abilities. You can follow me on Twitter at known as Jeff or email me at info@blindabilities.com. And you can find the Blind Abilities podcast on any of your devices that you want to listen to, whether it's through the native podcast app on your iPhone or on Google Play on your Androids. It's Blind Abilities. That's two words. Yeah, I'm all over the social network, mostly as Blind Abilities and known as Jeff. So that's where you can find me, and that's where you can find the podcast as well.
Okay, great. I forgot to mute everybody, so I'm going to do that now. So Jeff, if you can go ahead and okay, everybody's muted. So Jeff, if you could go ahead and unmute yourself, that would be great.
I don't think so.
Okay,
I didn't get muted.
you didn't get muted. Let's
No,
see.
none of us did.
Okay, I hit mute all. Let me see this one more
I can
time.
do it myself, but
Oh, here we go. Now, there you go. I don't, is anybody there? No. Okay, so Jeff, please go ahead and unmute yourself again. I'm sorry.
Okay, how's that?
There we go. So, Jeff, why don't you tell us all about the Bose frames? We're anxious to hear about them.
Yeah, a couple years ago when they came out, I decided to get the Bose frames. I heard some good stuff about them, and it's a good alternative way of having sound go into your ears. But the neat thing about the Bose frames is I have the alto. It leaves your ears open. So when you're listening to music, podcasts, or any type of audio through them, it doesn't intersect. Well, they do intersect, but it leaves your ears open to the environment. So if you're actually getting some navigational stuff going down the road, down the sidewalk, and you want to get some information, it's pretty good. It has in the arms, and those are the parts that come from the main glass area back over your ears. It has a battery in them, plus it has microphones in them, and it has speakers. And the speaker ports jet out towards your ears. It's directionally set up so it basically pumps the sound right to your ears so you can hear it, but you can still hear the environment. So you can hear the street crossing happening, the signals, wait, 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 that type of thing. It doesn't interrupt that. And the neat thing that they added to it, there's one button under the right arm. And that is if you hold that and look to your left, the volume drops. If you hold it and look to the right, the volume increases. So you do have an opportunity to turn down something if you need to particularly pay attention, especially if someone starts talking to you, you might want to turn it down a little bit. But you can still have stuff going on while the environment is happening around you. And that's unique about these. And plus, with having sunglasses on and you're traveling in a car or on a train or something like that, it doesn't look like you're preoccupied. So if you're in a car with three other people, four other people, and someone glances over you and you have a big set of cans on, or they obviously see stuff in your ear, they may think you're reading, and it's kind of sends out this vibe of do not disturb. But with sunglasses, you can be enjoying whatever you're listening to, and someone will turn and say, hey, blah, blah, blah. But you do hear the blah, blah, blah. So you're not really isolating yourself as much as with something that has noise reduction or noise cancellation in it. The Bose come with a wire for charging that is a magnetic, and it's proprietary in a sense that it only works for this, but it connects up in the arm by magnet in one direction. So it charges. Now, mine is the alto. The sister to this or brother to this would be the rondo, and they're more of a cat-like eye. I have one set of these. These are my wife's. Insert name here, Bob. Lori's. That's an inside joke. But these are more of a cat's eye. They kind of taper off to the side, and they're for smaller sizing. The neat thing about the Bose website is if you are concerned about the sizes of them, they have a chart and a accessible thing you can go through graph type of thing, layout that'll give you a good idea of what you might cue you in on what's better. Mine are the altos, and they're more like the Wayfair look, the typical Hollywood style, or sunglasses that, if you know, they're just the typical ones that you would see, kind of like the Clark Kent or whatever. And the arms are a little wider. At first, you may think those are a little too wide for me, but really they're not. Once they're on, they really feel good and look good. I added a band to the back of them, and you can find these at your eye glassware provider or online, and they just roll on like with these rubber little sleeves that roll onto the back end of the arms, and they go behind the ear, and then they have a string, and I can cinch that up. I did that because I like going for walks, and when it gets warm out, the glasses don't have a good grip on the nose or whatever, or the fit may be better for other people. But for me, I found having that on them allowed me to cinch it up just a little bit, keep them in place, keep them taut, whether you're bending down to pick up a piece of wood, you're working or something like that. And, you go to tie your shoe, you don't have to, hold them on or something like that. And even if I do want to take them off, I can drop them down onto my chest and the strap will hang on to them. And that's pretty good. When I was at the convention, the gentleman that actually was part of the design at Bose walked up to me and asked me if he could ask me a few questions. And I said, yes, can I also interview you? um, and because he took a picture of the strap I had behind. And I said, you know what? All you really need is this roll up part. You don't really need the strap. You just need something to grip the ear a little better so it stays in spot. But I noticed now these two are considered the first generation, the alto and the rondo. And now they have the tenor and the soprano that have been released. And they're supposed to have a fuller and deeper sound. That's one of the complaints people had about the Bose frames is there's no bass presence. Bose is usually bassy and treble, boom, boom. So they claim that they do. Now, I don't know if they do, but they're actually a couple dollars more than what these went for 199 at the time. They're on Bose site right now. They're 179, and they come with a nice case. It's a magnetic case that claps. It just stays shut. It's kind of nice, and it's a hard shell, so you can jam it into your backpack, and it's not going to get damage. I think it'll protect them pretty good. It's what some people call a turtle shell type of deal, where it's not soft. It's not just a cloth bag or something like that. I really like these for situations where you just want to have them on and you don't have to worry about something falling out of your ears. And you don't have, like right now, I'm wearing cans over my ears and they're quite obvious. It looks like, I got two mid-sized turtle size ear rings hooked to my ears, they're obvious. Same with the AirPod Maxes. those are big. I had a pair for a couple days, and they're they're big. They dominate. They I wore them for 48 hours. I gave them a good try, and I sent them back. The reason being is they imposed upon me feeling like I was interacting with everyone around me, where I felt like I was virtually there, because even though it had the transparency sound where I could hear everything, even amplify that sound, have better hearing with them on and everything, it still felt like I was wearing some form of a helmet. Now, with the Bose, if I'm reading a book and someone wants to talk to me, I can tip them up on top of my forehead and look cool and all that stuff. And it just looks normal to have sunglasses. But you're in the house. Well, I'm visually impaired. Well, it might be normal, but I can tip them up, but I can still hear them. And it's nice that you can adjust the volume and everything. So they're a friendly device. I love them when I'm in the car, because you should wear sunglasses when you're out in the sun, because they're UV protected. And you can also get some magnetic lenses for the alto and the rondo. Now, the three new ones that came out, the tenor, the soprano, and the sports one called the tempo, you can order them with specific lenses in there, whether they're silver, gold, or a blue. I think other options are available depending on which ones you get, but the sports one has something like trail blue, and they got these adjectives to really give you idea that they're really for you. Especially like early morning, they have like a gold color, or yellow, I believe it is. And I think amber or another one, but there's a mix of them, and it's all on the website, and you can go through them and pick which ones you want. And I think they're interchangeable as well. So you could order extra ones. And I think that extra, they're like $39 to switch out the lenses, whether it's going to be mirror silver, mirror blue, or the other options that they do. I did see a rose gold as well, and those were for the rondos. So I think those colors will carry over to the newer ones. Now the new ones are 249 compared to the 199 typical price right now, a special on the older ones. But here's one thing about the older ones: you get a 3.5 hour lifespan for the battery. I think it's 3 to 3.5 hours, which is okay. That's continuous use, when you're doing it. So it should last you all your trips and stuff like that on a typical day, like going to work and everything. The new ones have a 8 hour battery life, which is remarkable. It's really, really cool. And it makes you wonder what they really do differently in, because it doesn't seem like there's much size difference in the arms to add more battery pack to it and all that. Um, I charge mine up and leave them on the charger, and then when I needed them, I just grab them. They got the good case and everything like that. I'm excited about the newer ones, the sports ones, because they say they're lighter and they have a better fit, and they're better for resistance of water, and they have that fuller, deeper sound, which I think will be better, because sometimes I found myself when I'm traveling and I'm listening to Google Maps or something, or getting directions, or talking to someone on the phone, that sometimes the outside environment noise is too present to me to really make out what's going on in the conversation. They collide a little bit. And so I cup my hand over the back of my ear to or kind of the front of my ear, to get that sound right in there. And then I start thinking, gosh, I wish it would go louder, or I wish I wasn't in such a loud area. So that is one of the cons that I found with the Bose frames. Is it's better when you're isolated, when you're on your own, walking the neighborhood or doing your own thing. But when you're in a busy street where there's busy cars next to you, um, you do want to pay attention to the environment. That's true. But sometimes when you're in a busy area, I find a conflict of getting information that you're trying to get from the earpieces of the Bose frames conflict with the noise around you. Whereas I don't recommend people walking around with noise cancellation type of devices on, but that's one of the things. The volume is only so loud, and they say they're fuller and deeper. They didn't say louder, it's fuller and deeper. So that might be for people who want to listen to music through them. I like them for podcasts. I like them for audio. I like them for phone calls, and the convenience of not looking like you're isolating yourself. They have a good, they used to have stores up around here more, so I think they went more towards the internet. You can purchase them on the internet. And they do have, on the newer ones, you can get a prescription for them too. So if you send in your RX prescription, and they do have a carbon, well, you'd have to look into it. There's a button you could click on, and it goes into some details of what information they'll need for you. And I think that's 126 extra dollars. So you're talking, 370 some dollars for these. I've had mine for 2 years, and they're operating about the same as they used to. Maybe the battery drains faster when I'm not using them. I'm not too sure about that because typically I throw it on the charger and I'm going to use them. I use them and then I bring them back home, throw them on the charger. They're sunglasses, so it's not like you're always going to have them ear like you might have about the next thing we'll be talking about, the AirPod Pros. So um, I open it up for questions on the Bose frames.
Okay, looks like Marcia, you have your hand up. You want to go ahead? Marcia?
Unmute your mic, probably.
Looks like she's unmuted. Marcia, are you there? Do you have a question?
Bob,
Okay,
Just
go
Ken.
go ahead,
Just-
Ken. Your next there.
March's hand has been up there the whole time. You raised it from the beginning, so I think it's an accident or something.
Okay. Okay, so let's see. The next person with their hand has a phone number. Last four digits is 2796.
Yeah, hi. I was wondering if you could speak a little bit more about maybe what you didn't like as much. I mean, sounds more than great, but when you're walking around listening to Google Maps or something, could you elaborate a little?
Yeah, I was happy. I was in Bethesda, so I needed some directions to get to a place that I didn't know exactly where it was. And some parts of Bethesda, the traffic's fine, but when you're in a busy area,
Okay.
that's when you probably shouldn't be listening to stuff. You should be paying close attention to the road. So I was on a phone call as well, and I just noticed that you don't get that isolated sound, if you're in a busy area. With that said, I'm kind of contradicting my safety first rules. So I think they're fine. I think they're good for 90% of the stuff I use them for. Every once in a while, you run into that situation where you kind of wish they were louder. But when you really think about it, it's not that big of a problem. I really like the part that you could be driving along with someone and have them on and slip into a radio station or something, or listen to talk radio or listen to a podcast or doing something, or answer your phone just by a push of a button, hang up your phone. You can invoke Siri from that button. But you're not like holding your hand up with that stop sign to that person like I'm busy. You look like you're just normally sitting there. They can talk to you. You can hear them. So the cons about it, I think, is the plugin. It's a proprietary plugin that you just can't hook up a typical USB plug that you would plug into your phone, a lightning port, or whether you have an Android, that type, the typical USB A or B, C, whatever. It's their own. So when you travel, you have to bring that cord with you. There's no, hey, I forgot my cord. Can I borrow? No, you can't do that. So it's magnetic. It's made for their sunglasses. So that's the downfall of them. I would have said that you want to be careful with them, but if you do get that strap for them, I think that protects them really good. I'm not one to buy $100 sunglasses, but I did buy $200 sunglasses that have speakers in them, so I want to protect them. So for an extra $4, I put that strap on there. It's really nice because then when you take them off, you can just hang them down by your chest, and that's a normal thing too. So they're really good. They're really good, and they have a purpose for them. And I would really stress that the purpose I use them for, I use them for them. I also have other types of headphones that I use, and they have a good purpose. But when I'm traveling with someone in the car, I don't like when someone else puts on big old headphones and say, "Don't bother me." Or with the sunglasses, they will bother you because you look like you're want to engage in conversation as well, and you can do that. And with one push of the button, you shut off what you're listening to without pulling your phone out. So that's really nice.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jeff. Ernie, looks like you're next. Ernie, do you have a question?
Okay, I'm sorry. Um, Jeff, you answered my question just now. My question was going to be, I've got the glasses on, somebody wants to talk to me. Do you just push that button on the right to turn it off and then push it on the right to turn it back on?
Yeah, it'll stop. It'll stop like if I'm listening to a music or if I'm listening to a podcast, I'll hit it, it'll pause it. And then as soon as I'm clear to go, I just hit it again and it starts back up. That works pretty good. If I hold it, I can invoke Siri to come on, and I can change the volume with that same button by holding it in and looking to the left because it does have sensors in them that it knows which way you're looking, which I thought would be really good for a little bit of, you know, um, little games you probably play Geo or something because it knows you're turning, knows your directions and everything like that. There's more thing. It comes with an app, the Bose Connect, and they did have some virtual reality type of stuff that you could try. It was iffy and it was an experiment, but they kind of dropped that part of it. But they do have a oscilloscope or a gyroscope type of system built into these. So I thought that was going to be interesting, like if Ira was going to hook up with them, but there's no camera on them. So yeah, with that one button, there are some features you can do, and I like those features. But when I'm saying I really like these, it's when I'm using them for the purpose I like them most, and it's during my travel or when I just want to be it's looking like I'm effectively involved in the conversation or in people that I'm around. I don't want to throw on something that tells them not to talk to me.
Another question, Bob, if I may? Jeff, uh, I'm totally blind and blind too, but if you go to the website, I'll probably have my wife look at the different models. Do they have pictures of the glasses on there that she could decide which one looks better on my face?
Yeah. To tell you the truth, the rondo style, and I think it goes for the sopranos, would be, I think they're using that to invoke the thought that they'd be the same type, the cat's eye type of one. The cat's eye ones kind of taper to a point off to the left and off to the right, going up. Um, Whereas the rondos or the tenor are more about the boxy, curved ones where picture a straight bar across the top and then kind of a rectangular curves coming down. They're a little bigger looking. And yeah, but they do have charts on there and a fitting chart. So there's questions that may be answered by just investigating that page.
Very good. Thank you so much.
And I'd like to add that the tempo, the sports ones, are more of a wraparound look. And they're supposed to be stay on better for activity. That's what they're stressing, that you might be hiking, you might be going through activities. So I think the stay on purpose of those is better. And they come with 3 different nose pieces that you can put on and try and apply to fit your needs. So I like that idea too. And those are $249 as well.
Okay,
Thanks.
Ken, you're going to be next. And then after Ken, just to give you a little cue here, Michelle will be next. and then phone number 2796, and then Farhan will be after that. So go ahead, Ken.
Okay, thanks. Good presentation. Enjoying it. Informative. And I was wondering about a comparison thing, I guess. Are you familiar with the aftershocks? I think that's the name.
Yeah.
Yeah, and those are bone conduction, right? And I got some for my wife a while back, and she likes them that way, and they don't go in the ear at all, right?
Correct.
So they always let stuff in. And these that now I didn't quite understand. Is it like a little speaker that's about holds about an inch away from the ear or something like that, or how does that work?
Okay. I will try to give a good description of this. The arm comes back and it kind of it comes all the way straight back, just like a typical arm on a glass does, and goes around your ear. But the bottom of it kind of tapers down a little bit, and then it hooks back up. Where it hooks back up, there's a hole there. And that's where they have the sound as a slot where it sits right in front of your ear. So it's projecting the sound right to your ear. It's like the wing of a 57 Chevrolet, if you've ever seen one of those.
By the way, I can see what you're doing.
Oh, okay, yeah. So right back here, there's a slot.
Yeah.
So as I go back, when I start out, it feels like a regular type of frame arm on a typical pair of glasses. But when I get to the part right in front of the ear, it might be 3/4 of an inch thick. And then along this side here, there's also a microphone port where it picks up the microphone. So you can have your conversations on the phone. And on the inside, you can see here of the right side, that is where the power connector connects up, and it's magnetic. So it only goes on one way. So once it plops in there, it's pretty good. And that's about it for these.
Okay.
The other thing you can do in the app is you can have it set up for never or 5 minutes, and a couple variables in between is when you want it to shut down. Like if it's not being used, like say you shut your phone off and you're just walking around, or if your phone's not doing it, if 5 minutes pass, these two will shut off. So you're
Good
not
idea.
burning up the batteries. And if I push and hold the button, it'll tell me my battery life in there. And when I first put them on, if they're
neat.
on and I take them off and set them down, upside down, so they're laying on the thing, that disconnects them from the iPhone or the device. They're made for iPhones, but they work on Androids. So if I take them off and set them down, my speaker will come out of my iPhone. If I pick them up and put them back on during that first 5 minutes, they will connect back up. So that's kind of nice about that aspect of them.
Okay, one quick question, real quick. You said iPhone or Android. Can that just plug into a shirt pocket radio?
Not plug into. They don't have a cord as such where they would be wired to something.
Oh, how does it hook up to the iPhone?
Bluetooth.
Oh, Bluetooth. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, my hearing aids work that way too.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
I'm all done.
Next.
That
How about
me?
2796?
Yes, a quick question. I don't know if it applies to this topic here, but when you're talking about the directions and you missed it because you're outside or for your Google Maps or something, do you have a way of repeating the directions going back?
If I'm outside and I have my phone on Google Maps and that's what I'm listening to my phone, I would then just swipe onto the phone at that point for me to get directions. Yeah, so I can invoke a start and stop, that type of features, or next track probably. But I can't actually control my phone from the speakers, the headphones, sunglasses. Yeah, I can't actually control the operation of my phone. But if am walking along and say you're using something like from Microsoft, the name skips my mind there, their application for Soundscape. There you would be getting your information as well as you're walking, and it would be on the left or the right. So this does have stereo, so you'd be getting that type of information. On Google Maps, as I'm going along and it says, turn left, or, it might mention the street if I have it set up for pedestrian walking mode, it might tell me more information, and that's when I would hear that. So it's all operating from the phone at that point. So if I needed to rehear something or something, I would just swipe onto the phone.
All right, thank you.
Is it Marcia, I think?
Michelle.
Michelle, sorry.
Yeah. So I don't have a specific question, but I wanted to comment on a couple of things.
Yeah.
Ken, you were asking about the aftershocks versus the Bose frames. I also have both, and for me, I found that although the aftershocks don't cover the ear per se, my ears were sensitive enough that they still sense that there's something right there next to them. And so when I'm out and about, that is that's a bit distracting to me when I'm trying to listen to the traffic and such. Whereas the Bose frame, it's just like wearing a pair of sunglasses, and there's you feel the arms of the frames going over your ears, but there's absolutely nothing right in front of your ear, or immediately, not covering your ear or immediately in front of your ear. So that really leaves it open to hear what's going on in your environment. One of the things that I noticed when I was using Soundscape was that I had to be careful not to turn it up too loud, because then it was a little too immersive for me. And then I found that I wasn't paying as close attention to what was actually going on around me with the traffic. So you might have to find just the right balance of sound level, where you could still hear all the sounds around you that you need to hear, but still be able to hear what Soundscape is saying, for example. But I also really like using them for navigating and that sort of thing. So those are my comments.
Thank you.
We appreciate that, Michelle. Thank you. Farhan, you have a question? Go ahead.
Yes, a very simple one, not to Jeff. Good morning, Jeff, but to Bob and Lisa, maybe. Why is it that I don't see the chat option on the drop-down menu today?
I should have mentioned that in the beginning. I used chat during our last meeting, and to be honest with you, it was just too much work for me trying to manage the whole meeting and have the chat open. So I have always had chat turned off, except last week or last month's presenter wanted to have chat turned on. If somebody will co-host with me that can monitor the chat screen, then I would consider putting chat back on. But otherwise, it's just too much for me to try to manage the meeting with the chat message turned on.
Okay, I got it. All right. Thank you. Thank
Sure.
you, Bob. That's it.
Okay, that's
Thank
the
you.
last of the questions on the Bose frames. Jeff, you want to tell us about the AirPods Pro?
Yeah. The AirPods came out, and then they switched to an AirPods Pro, and it's really cool. I have to admit. One thing is the fit. They come with 3 different types of earpieces that you can put in there. The soft silicone type of pieces that will fit you. They even have a part in the app where it'll test for the fit, because there's a microphone in and a microphone out. So it'll test for leakage to see if you have the best fit for them. Now these fit into your ear individually, and if you have a fear that they'll fall out, like on an airplane, I don't like wearing them on an airplane because I'll never want to have that experience of trying to look under my seat because there's not enough room to do that. So they do make these ear clips that you can get on Google. You just Google them, and they're about $7. You get 3 sets of them. There's just little things that slide onto them, and they have a little tab that keeps them onto your ear a little better. And so that's one thing you can do. But these are really cool because they do have the noise cancellation. And with the noise cancellation, you shut off the rest of the world. Airplane noise, car noise, train noise, your brother, sister, whatever you want to isolate. And when you want to go deep into just listening, and it's really cool. They even hook up to the whole orchard. Like if you want to listen to the Apple TV, you can do that. And that's really cool because someone might be reading a book on the couch already present. Well, you can hook these up, turn it on, and there you go. You're set to go on your Apple TV setting. You can also have them onto your Mac, your AirPod, yeah, iPods. There we go, Air and I. Any type of device that you want to listen to, you can do. You can even set it up on when I put them in my ears, my phone switches right to it, so it turns on automatically. You can wear one, keep the other one in the case, and and it'll and it will. Sorry about that. And you can just use one. You can even use noise cancellation on the one if you want to isolate that ear, so you're really concentrating on that while you're doing something. Like say you're typing a paper and you want to get some information from something, or you're taking notes. You don't have to have all the sound going from the whole room into that one. You can also switch from noise cancellation to transparency mode. In transparency mode, you can set that from 0 to 100. So if you have any type of hearing loss, or you don't know that you do, you might experience something really cool. I was boiling water this morning to do some eggs, and I could hear the water boil from 20 feet away, loud. So I put them in, and all of a sudden I heard the water boiling. I didn't know what that was at first, and I kept getting closer to it, and sure enough, it was the boiling water. And I was like, wow, that's cool. Usually you have to be at the stove to realize it's boiling, but that's one thing. And I'm wearing a pair of CCM hockey pants, and when you walk, they go vzz, vzz, a little bit. Well, with these on, they were really making some noise. It sounded like someone had cellophane or something going, and it was like, wow, you could hear the floors crack and all that. I was actually outside one time, and I left them on for 3 hours one day with transparency mode on, and I heard birds chirping, and I swear you could hear me making the nest. I heard the neighbors talking, and it felt like they were over my shoulder. Later on, I was in the house and I took them off, and the whole world disappeared. It was like, wow, it's really cool how alive things can come when you have those in your ears on transparency mode. You can be listening to a music, you can listen to podcasts and all that, and still take all that information in around you, similar to the Bose. However, they they're in your ear, and people notice that if they glance at you and stuff like that. So it's okay. They're okay. They're really cool, and you can set them up. They even have settings in the app that you can go to check out your hearing a little bit. So it'll give you a sample of some sounds. So adaptive audio, where you can actually go in there and it'll give you some test samples. And then you can adjust it and then say, now listen to this. Does that sound better? And you go, yeah, I can hear that better. And you can adjust that and have that in your media, your audio, your phone calls, or just one of them. You might not want it in your music, but you may want it in all the other things. So you can opt in and opt out, or toggle these on and off, and kind of design I would say, kind of an equalizer, but more of an enhancement in some of the frequencies that you may be missing, whether you want it more brighter, more mid-range, that type of thing. So that's really cool. That comes with the application. And when you put these on, you actually can go into your Bluetooth settings and actually have more settings to use. That's when you can invoke all these different type of settings. Do you want transparency on, off, and all that stuff? So it's really cool. The stuff that they have built into these, I know I'm pumping them a little bit, but that it's really quite the technology built into these. And right now, I think you can find these for $199. They typically sell for $249. But hold on, I believe they're coming out with two new ones coming out here, and it might be the AirPods Pros 3s, which would be the third generation. They haven't come out yet, so people are guessing at the name. And they believe they're going to be a little smaller form factor, and that'd be interesting. So what comes out, I think it's about March 16th. We don't know yet. They might have another one that are smaller, more affordable with maybe a few less features. So that'll be interesting to say. These are really nice because you can wear these and forget you have them in, but I will sense when one's ready to fall out a little bit, and I'll reach to it and just push it back in a little bit, kind of readjust it. Um, they're really nice on the stem. You can squeeze it. They're just a little stem sticks down. If you imagine a tadpole or something like that, but if you squeeze it, it will switch from transparency mode to noise cancellation mode. I can also set one side up to do that. One side, I can squeeze the other side and invoke Siri. I can also skip forward a track, stop the music, answer a call, hang up the phone, that type of thing with them. And it's easily done. Um, and compared to the AirPro, AirPod Max, which has better sound, better transparency, better functionality, better switchability between your devices as you walk away from your Mac and open up your phone, that type of thing. However, they don't give people that, hey, I'm busy look. You feel like you're still in the room, and no one will know the difference. I even heard my wife talking to me. um, she says sometimes I'm not paying attention, but with these on, with the transparency mode, you don't miss that, and you don't find her standing next to you, tapping you on your shoulder and startling you, because you're paying attention. You're effectively involved in the house and the environment around you. And if you're out walking on the streets, you can be listening to a podcast, but you can still turn up that outside noise and have it just equally there, equally present, which is really nice to be able to do. And say you get on the bus, you can just squeeze it once and then you can do noise cancellation. So you just block out the whole sound of the bus and the people around you if you want that. So that's where these come in, and they have a great purpose, and I like the purpose for them. I don't like sleeping in them. Some people do, because you'd have to then go do the hunt and find in the morning where they are and everything like that. The other thing is Find My, which is an app inside your phone. You can do that, and it'll find them, and they'll project a little beep sound. It's not a loud one, but it might be enough to help you out where they are. Cats like them if you leave them laying around. They like to play and bat them around, so you might have to find them. Hopefully, the beep doesn't come from the dog stomach or something like that. But and the case, once you charge the case up, it hooks up with the lightning port. You charge the case up, you can probably get 5 charges out of these. So as soon as you put one back in, or both of them back in, they're charging again. And if you open your case on your phone, a little panel pops up and it'll tell you case at 23%, 100% charge. That means they both are. If you have one in, it'll tell you how much charge that one has in. So they work individually, they work together, they work in stereo, and you can even make it so they work in mono, so you don't get the stereo effect. So they're very versatile and very personal. You can really set these up any way you want them to be working for you, with the options that they do have. And I think they're probably the best bang for the buck, especially at the 199 right now. But let's kind of wait and see what this spring Apple has coming out with the newer ones. They might be even cheaper, and they might come out with the features that you only need. So that's what I think. I think they're a great product. They're Yeah, that's that's it. And I suggest if anyone fears that they might lose them or something, to check in and look at the ear clips available on Amazon.
Can I just jump in, Jeff?
You bet.
Jeff, are you talking about the headphones that you are just wearing them, or are you talking about a different headphones?
The AirPod Pros, they're the individual things that you just put in your ear, and there they are. They're wireless. They don't do anything other than go into your ear. They come with 3 types of silicone tips that you will fit you better, and they'll stay in there. Um, yeah, the headphones, the AirPod Max, are for $549 just to start
Uh-huh.
out with,
All
before
right.
tax. Now that's a whole nother story. That's quite an investment. That's quite a commitment to
Oh,
something.
yes.
But these are something you can have one in and use on a daily basis, any time of the day.
And that's available at Apple?
Yep. Apple
Or,
AirPod Pros. Now they
oh,
also make the AirPods, and they're like $119 to $120, something around that area right now. But
uh-huh.
that's first generation. You don't get as many features, as many options. You don't get the noise cancellation. You may, but the AirPod Pros, you get the noise cancellation and the transparency. You get the whole 9 yards, pretty much as much as the AirPod Maxes have. Plus,
Uh-huh.
you even get spatial sound for videos that are equipped with this technology, where you could actually be listening to a movie, and then when you move your phone to another spot, it'll seem like the sound's coming from your phone over there in your
Uh-huh.
ears. So it changes the perception that you're receiving from the sound, which, once again, it's like other things. It's out before there's a lot to utilize it to maximize the usability of that feature.
Is it true that since they are wireless, 2 people can use it at the same time?
Exactly. Good point. If you're watching a movie and 2 people are in the room and they can both set up and listen to it. So that might work if the kids use them and want to watch something and other things are going on in the house, or if they're watching probably something on arcade on Apple TV or something, they can be both involved in that and sharing the same thing. I'm not sure if it's set up for podcasting on the Apple Podcast app where 2 people could share that, but I know that they do have that function, and it'd be interesting to learn more about that. But I know it works on the Apple TV.
Okay, thank you, Jeff.
You bet.
Jeff, I have a question for you. So you said that when you go through the setup or balancing of the um, individual earbuds, I'll call them, um, are they set for a particular ear so that then when you put them back in the charging case, do you have to make sure you put the same one in the same ear each time, or does it somehow know which ear is set for different volume or whatever?
Um, eh, they're they're mirrored. Um, they're mirrored. It's kind of like a wing bone on a chicken. Okay, there's a little bend to it. So the right one only goes in the right side, and the stem goes down into the case. And it's preformed, so it's like a mirrored form that it falls into. It's not that difficult at all. You take the right one out, put it in the right side, and put the left one in the left side. And when you take them out, it's pretty obvious. You open up the case and you just put it into your ear. It knows, it has ear detection on. You can turn that off or not. So when you put one in, you'll hear a little sound, and all of a sudden you're connected to your phone, no matter if you have 2 or 1 in, or either one. You can also designate that the mic is only on the right side, or mic is only on the left side, or both, or it doesn't matter. So it is pretty personal that you can set it up any which way you want. And like I was saying, for the hearing thing, people have a bad ear. So you might want to turn that one up and turn the other one down. So that's adjustable as well for everyone's needs.
Great, thank you. Michelle, you have a question?
Yeah, so I missed the very beginning of this section because my internet decided to flake on me right then.
Mm-hmm.
So you were saying so what I did hear was that these actually go into the ear. But is there a way to use them where it's just next to the ear, but not in the ear?
No, there's sensors on them that detect when they're in the ear. There's also a microphone on the inside that listens to the sound that's going into the ear, and there's a microphone on the outside. That way it can do the function of noise cancellation because it hears the noise and it'll magically reproduce the sound without that sound from the outside.
Okay.
Yeah, and it works the other way too, like when you're using the microphone as well. Um, but no, they have to be in. That's when they actually turn on because it senses the contact with your ear, and and if you take them out, it basically turns off. And
Okay.
you can't really hear them that much. If you put them in your pocket and you put your hand in your pocket or something like that, all of a sudden your phone might connect up to them because they're sitting in your pocket and it felt your hand mistakenly it's an ear or something like that. But you can't really hear it talking. You might be able to, kind of like the Bose frames. If someone has them on in the car, you can kind of hear this because we're tuned to hear stuff like voiceover and stuff. So you might hear, you might hear that stuff. You might hear that from these if they happen to turn on while they're in your pocket and, that type of thing. But
Right.
for the most part, they only are working when they're in your ear.
Oh, okay. And if I could add one other comment regarding the Bose frames, I realized I forgot to add it. One of the other reason I like the Bose frames is that when you're out and about, it's like you're wearing headphones incognito. No one's gonna see you.
Mhm.
They they probably won't realize that you're wearing headphones because they just look like glasses. And so sometimes I'm concerned if I'm wearing headphones out and about, then people might think that I'm not as attentive, and maybe they could, think they could get away with doing something because I'm not paying attention. And so, but if you're wearing the glasses, they're not likely to assume that. And you really can't hear what other people are listening to on the Bose frames. A lot of people will, I asked my husband if he could hear what I was listening to when I first got him, and he goes, "What? No, what?" And then I handed him the glasses, and so that he could listen, and he realized, oh wow, and there was music that he couldn't hear at all. So anyway, those were my other comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Somebody with a phone 6454 is next. If I'm reading that number correct, I think it's 6454.
No, that's 6464.
6464. I'm sorry. Visually impaired here.
Well, I think I heard when he mentioned at the beginning that when it goes inside the ear, they have a cushion. But what if the person laughs a lot, talks a lot, or yawns a lot, and the earbuds come out? And also, if they're inside for quite some time, a little bit longer than he usually does, is there any other way that it will not irritate the ear?
I think that has to do with experience with them. I experienced, I wanted to try the other size tips to see if I could get a better feel for them. So it does come with 3 different types of tips for them. And when you put them on, you put them on and do a little twist to them, and then they settle in there. So if you're having problems or they're irritating, I would take those tips off and switch to the other tips and
Okay.
see how that goes. So with the 3 different sizes, and they're considerably different sizes that you can actually experience. So I think there's a tip for some people. Some people, maybe they don't work at all. I'm not sure, but they do have like ear clips. People want to make a few bucks from you anyway. So on Amazon, you'll find these clips that work, that you clip onto them, and then they kind of have a little tag that kind of hooks part of your ear, or they
Oh,
have
okay.
another pressure point on them to just to give you that extra sense of security with them. But then again, I wouldn't use these things if you're jogging on a tread. Well, maybe you can there. Um, they're not as good for activity, but I don't know who's going to be playing volleyball or, I'm trying to think of something where, they're going to be a problem. I've used them for, I can't really say if it's been a year and a half since they came out. I got them on one of the first days they came out. Um, I had to think it over for 5 minutes and then I got them.
Hmm.
And I only had a couple situations where it fell out and I had to find it. Find Me works pretty good for that. But when they're about to fall out, you kind of sense it. You kind of sense it, so you go up and feel it, because it feels different. Like all of a sudden you start hearing the outside noise more or something. It's something switching,
Hmm.
and just a little push, and it's back on again. I've never had any irritation with them, but I don't like laying on a pillow with one in my ear. That's not my bag, so I don't do it that way. Um, so, they're fine. They're really good. The personalization of them, and if you if you turn on transparency and you start hearing more sounds than you did before, especially like people who might think that they're losing some hearing in an area, that customizability of them really enhances the value of them, because it's like, wow, they should go into making hearing aids because this is a step closer to it, especially when you're in a crowded area and you're trying to pay attention to someone talking across I notice if I'm in a busy area and we're having conversation, that it's harder to pick out certain things. So I have the brightness turned up on mine, and I can enhance that sound from the app by increasing it. So I can pick up more transparency sounds or specialize the adaptive audio to things that work for me. So it's not very often that I utilize all that I'm talking about here. I'm just trying to give you a general idea of how you can set them up that best suits you for situations you may
Hmm.
be in. I've never been on the fly telling the people, quiet, let me reset my hearing,
Hmm.
but but the options are nice to have, and it seems that once I set it up once, it seems to be pretty good.
Okay. Thank you very much. And I'm done.
Okay, thank you. Farhan, you have another question?
Yes, I'm back. Sorry. Um, Jeff, this is a very special request from me.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Hello, Jeff. I'm
Yes.
sorry. This is a very special request. And if you have the time, and is it possible you can repeat about the description about the glasses that you spoke about, but because I missed most of them, if you have the time.
Well, Farhan, let me just jump in here real quick. This session is being recorded, so you'll be able to access the entire presentation back at the vistacenter.org website. Hopefully in a couple of weeks, the video will be up there. I know Jeff also wanted to talk about how these work with LiDAR and the sound
Okay.
quality that happens with LiDAR. So let's Jeff go ahead, and then if at the end, if we have extra time, he can go ahead and repeat that. Otherwise, it'll be on the website video for you.
Okay. Thank you, Bob.
Sure.
Thank you, Jeff.
You bet. So LiDAR, if you have a 12 Pro or a 12 Pro Max, it's equipped with another lens that has LiDAR on it. And what this does is it's light distance and ranging, so LiDAR. And it detects the distance, the range of something. So technically, if someone maps something out with LiDAR, they can map out a whole entire room. And if you want to learn more about that, go to Good Maps and see what they're doing with LiDAR. Well, in your application of magnifier, you can turn on people detection as well. So when you do that, the LiDAR will sense that it sees a person and it'll tell you the distance away from them, which is really cool in a sense that if you're going down a train, you get on a train and you turn it to your right and you're looking for a seat on the right and you come to a seat, but it says 2 feet, 2 feet, 1 foot, 1 foot, 2 feet, 1 foot. And then all of a sudden it doesn't say anything. Well, that might be an empty seat. So that's one use purpose or one type of use that I was thinking where it comes in practical. But this is brand new, this LiDAR to the iPhone. And, you know, when Apple put out that in the magnifier section, that was really cool to be able to detect, 8 feet, 6 feet. And then it also, you can have it go, and it might say slow down in case you're going 2 feet, 1 foot, 0, slow down, or if you're in a bank line. So there's other purposes that where this might be increased usage available to us. Seeing AI came out with the World channel, which is a little bit iffy. What I mean by that is they're working on it. It's the first time they released it. And with screen detection and LiDAR, I can open it up and it'll say doorway. Or if it sees a chair will come out of the right-hand side. So stereo-wise, it'll say chair to my right. It won't say to my right, but it'll come out of that ear. If the microwave is far away, it'll say microwave, kind of faintly. But if I'm getting close to it, if I'm looking for the microwave, I can then approach the microwave and it'll say microwave 3 feet, 2 feet, 1 foot, and it gets louder. So this is really neat type of technology that's coming our way. And I think more and more we'll start seeing this being incorporated into other third-party applications. I know SuperSense came out with something, but these are baby steps of just trying to see what they can do with it. And the obvious things they want to do is find a chair, find objects, find everything. So I'm so glad that when Apple decided to put the LiDAR in, that they made it open. The APIs made it open for other developers to sample, to try and make things better for us. Now, how are they going to get monetary? Some companies, well, we don't make any money out of that, but it seems like we have some companies that are willing to put seeing AI together and have some features that we can use. Good Maps is trying to do stuff. So I think we're in for something right now. So don't feel bad if you don't have a 12 Pro Max to utilize this. I was on the phone rotation. Once you start getting these, you got to get them every 2-3 years or something of that nature. So I upgraded my phone in there. I have it. To tell you the truth, I don't use it that much. I don't, especially with COVID. We're at home. I know where the microwave is, but it was really neat to be able to turn it on and go find that stuff. Or it was turn on people detection. And I can turn on people detection here.
1:12 p.m.
Let's see. I think if you can hear this.
1:12 p.m.
Let me see.
And Jeff, could you tell us how they may be different between the Bose frames and the AirPods with LiDAR?
With the LiDAR, the Bose frames and the AirPod Pros, there's not much difference because you still got stereo. And the only situational thing I can think of would be the amount of noise that you have around you or the amount of noise that you're going to pay attention to. Obviously, if you're out in the environment, you're not going to have noise cancellation in. Bose frames do not have noise cancellation. It's open ear. And as mentioned by me and another listener, that you can still participate in the environment, the sounds around you. But with the AirPod Pros, it still works left and right because they're Bluetooth. They're hooked to the phone. All the sound that comes from your phone is going to be in your ears. And with the LiDAR, since you have this stereo, you'll be able to detect which side, especially using the World channel on Seeing AI. Because if I walk through an environment and it says table and it comes on my right ear, I can actually do a scene I believe it's scene analysis of some sort review, scene review. So I'm standing there and I hit scene review. It'll say water bottle and it might come out of my right ear and it might be far away. It might say iPhone and that's out of my left ear, but it's really close, which is kind of cool because then you have your room is kind of mapped out with these items that it found, but the location in relationship to your phone is gonna it's gonna sound like it's over your right shoulder or in front to your right or off to the left or faintly or loud. So these 7 items that may have it detected when you did a 360, you may be able to find something. Oh, it's over here. That type of thing. That's really cool. And that's a first generation of that app that they put out, unupdated. That's the first thing they put out. The other thing you can do is you can actually label an item. So say you went through something the first time and said, gosh, I want to know where this is when I come back. When you're going back there, you can actually find that item because it knows exactly where it is. Even though you're moving, it'll come back to that area and give you an identifier, a beacon. Yeah, you can label beacons. So for them to come out with this, seeing AI up there at Microsoft, for them to come out with this use, and it's not even their phone, it just shows how fast and how cool the things that are yet to come about can be and may be on the horizon for use. And I believe I heard that LiDAR will be coming to most of their phones from now on. So I think it's here to stay. And I like to see the developers really dig in and really utilize this because when you think of it, if it can tell distance, and object recognition, screen recognition, all those things that are slowly going to be coming together, what a toolbox for them to use that almost like augmented reality, but we're walking through it. So it's real. It's not augmented. Is reality that maybe we can someday use this in a way that'll not interfere with what stuff, too much information that we have to really process, but maybe we'll someday just react to it. Kind of a trust factor subconsciously that if it's to the right, you just turn to the right and you trust it. Right now, we have to listen to it. We have to hear what it's saying. The awe factor makes us pause, that type of thing. So it's really interesting where this can go. With
1:17
LiDAR
p.m.
and with any type of Bluetooth that you have, if you have stereo, it will work just like Soundscapes works with the left-right type of thing. So there's really neat stuff coming up. And with the LiDAR being mixed in with this type of technology, it just adds that third dimension for us to find stuff, to locate things, and really be a tool that we someday may be able to use indoors, especially because it's identifying things, it's mapping things. And pay attention to good maps. Hopefully, they will do a convention for us someday where you could be walking around with your headphones on with transparency or like you said, the bone conduction ones. And they got some new ones coming out. So pay attention to that type of stuff because it's indoor navigation, I think, is finally going to be here with all these different tools that we are having access to.
Great. You want a couple more questions here, Jeff?
Sure.
Okay. How about last 4 digits, 2796?
Yeah, hi, excellent presentation. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but just looking for your personal preference. Kind of walking down the street, it kind of sounds like your go-to is the Bose. That's your most used one.
Well, I'm in the wintertime here in Minnesota. It's a little different. We don't do that. What about the dogs?
They didn't make a frozen version?
Yeah. I would say whenever you're going to wear sunglasses, they're the optimal ones that I like to have. be anytime, summertime, bright sun, that type of thing. They're the ones that I like to have because it's just a natural feeling. Um, but I have them both. And so I have other, to be able to come in and seamlessly just hook up to my computer if I want to, or an iPad or a phone. That's where I like the others because it's part of the ecosystem of the Apple thing. So that's where the pluses favor the AirPod Pros for me. However, as soon as we're outside again and traveling, the COVID plus with me the winter a little bit, and that's when I re-enlist these into the arsenal of stuff that I have available to me.
And then planes, trains, and automobiles, more the AirPods, your personal preference?
Because of the noise cancellation, yes. I mean, you can sit idle for 3 hours on a airplane, and there's no problem with that. I would suggest getting the clips or something like that. Another thing I had done is put them on, and then if I have like in the wintertime here, we have stocking caps. I pull them down over them, so it gives me that extra sense if they come loose, they're not going to fall, that type of thing. Um, but that's in the winter. It's normal to have a hat on, so it's just kind of a convenient thing. Take them out before you pull your pullover hoodie off because it'll hook them and they'll take them away. But yeah, yeah.
Very good. And then I'm sure you have a bundle price at the end of this for both.
No, a bundle price. Like I said, the AirPod Pros right now, you can find them for $199 online at certain places, maybe Best Buy or something like that. But on Apple, they're still $249. But other places are cleaning up their inventory probably because in March here, they may be coming out with 2 new ones that's rumored. Smaller one, less features, but the 3rd generation one with probably more features, more something. And so stay tuned for that. But I just wanted to give you a good lowdown on what, to me, headphones have a purpose, even the bone conduction ones. There's one called the Calm right now, and that's for like if you're doing this type of stuff on Zoom. I hear the microphone's really good for them. And there's other ones called, I forget the other ones. I didn't study up for them, but they're coming out with really good ones. So listen to some podcasts that are talking about them and pay attention to those as well. It's nice to have options, and it's nice to find stuff that have a good purpose for them. As for an all-around purpose one right now, for me, with COVID and everything, I use the AirPod Pros more. I used to use the Bose more though, and that's pre-COVID. Now that I'm at home most of the time and I don't want to walk around the house with sunglasses on, but some people are impacted by that, by the light outside coming in the windows or other types of things that impact and they prefer to wear dark shades. They're not the darkest of shades, but like I said, they come in different type of tints, different colors and stuff, and maybe there's one for you.
Do they have clear lenses?
Well, very
available?
good.
They have the newer ones. I know the tenor and the soprano, I believe, and the tempo. You can get prescription glasses. So you could probably just say, I just want clear ones from your doctor.
Okay.
Or they also have a check for reading or distance. Like if you're just nearsighted, I think those would be more generic ones. Like you can get reading glasses at the drugstore and just try them on. If they work, they work. So I think they have those options. Plus they have the option for your prescription to be sent in.
Okay. Thank you, Jeff. Miriam, you have a question?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Jeff. Can you let us know what Good Maps does and where one can access it?
You can download Good Maps onto Android or onto your iPhone from the App Store or the Play Store. And it'll go into your, do you remember Near Finder, the application? I think this was through APH.
Unfortunately, I don't. I'm not terribly
Wayfinder,
tech
Nearfinder.
informed.
Well, it's the same stuff. Mike May is part of this, and he's always been involved in type of GPS type of stuff. And this is for indoor navigation, but he wanted something that works both ways. So part of that app, you can actually do a look around. I highly suggest looking at that app and taking a look at it, because you can sit in your room and you can turn a 360 and it'll give you some focal points, some points of interest and stuff in your area where bus stops are and where this is. So it seems to be developing. But the main thing that they really want to do, being called Good Maps, they want to bring it into indoor. So you don't have to switch to another app once you get indoor. And by them going into a facility, and that's where their money would be made, having a place do their facility. Say we're going to go to Orlando for NFB convention or Pittsburgh for ACB convention, that they would go in there, they would pre-map the whole thing, walking around with a backpack on and using their LiDAR machine. They would map out the whole facility. Then the customers would be able to, or the business would be able to, easy enough, just label everything as they wish to do. Like we could label the exhibit room technically. So when you walk in with your phone and have your Good Maps open, it would take a Photoshop, and the geo points that are logged into the database would know where you are. In that sense, it would guide you or could lead you to a certain booth or something of that nature, because they mapped everything out and you're just walking through a matrix of coordinates. Thus, it would know how to figure it out where you are.
Wow, thank you.
So it's something that's coming. It's not here yet, and it's something to explore, something to look at. But there's also the outdoor navigation that they're working on and improving all the time. So that's something that's on my radar to keep
Okay.
my LiDAR, I guess you could say.
Thank you. Ernie, do you have a question?
Yeah, Jeff, you made a statement and it made me think. Can you pair the earbuds to a Windows?
I am not sure. It's Bluetooth,
Yes.
so I imagine you can.
Nice
I
answer.
imagine I imagine you can pair them to most anything if it recognizes them, but you won't get the
Yeah,
get the
good.
features. I don't think you're probably gonna have a good experience with them, because once you hook them up on to an iPhone in Bluetooth, then you can get to the settings. That's where all the action is. I don't think they make an app for the pods for other devices like that. Maybe they just work as a regular set of ear. I don't know how you would turn up the volume, or maybe it just goes off the. That's something that I have to try. I'm using a Mac. I don't have a PC, so I haven't tried that. That's a good question. Maybe Google would be able to answer that for you. But that's interesting. But most of the
Well,
controls are either in your Bluetooth settings when you go to your AirPods Pro, then you go to more info. That's where all your settings are. There also is another setting if you get these. You can go into your settings, go down to accessibility, and there will be a section for AirPods. And in there, that's where you can set up your adaptive technology to set it up for your type of hearing. You can adjust the brightness, the loudness enhancements and all that. Do some samples, lock it in for whether you're on it for music, phone calls, or other media forms, and there you're setting it up. So I'm not sure if that type of capability would be working. But since you have it set up like that, maybe then I can transfer it right to a Windows of that type of thing and just pick up that audio. But I think you're going to get the best experience out of these if you stay in the ecosystem.
yeah. Well, the only reason I ask is I work in an office environment and I'm tired of wearing the wired headphones to keep my coworkers
Ah,
not being disturbed. But I'll let you know when I get them.
all right.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, does anybody else have any questions for Jeff? Can be on anything he's talked about today or any other questions you might have, since he's a expert in technology.
Hmm. Until I'm not.
Tell everybody the name of your technology podcast.
We do a Tech Abilities podcast, and that's me, Rocky, Serena, and Angie. Um, and they sometimes get carried away and get going and talk. I learned to listen, and but they're all effectively involved in whether it's being a counselor at a voc rehab for blindness. They're all legally blind or totally blind. And Rocky works at the adaptation store at the Lighthouse for the Blind and Visually Impaired in San Francisco. And Angie teaches as well. I teach woodworking, and I have taught at Blind Incorporated back in the day. And I'm still effectively involved in advocating and doing lots of stuff for blindness and stuff. So we're always coming from a blindness perspective. And with Tech Abilities, we might take a few topics and just flush them out a little bit, go in deep into them a little bit, and personalize it, like how we use it, what we think about it, and stuff. We're not ones to go into how many bits or how many, we don't get into the technological details of algorithms and why they work and why that. We kind of go into the technology that an everyday person will be able to use and to use on a daily usage, just so it works, just so you can use it. I don't really, I'm not one that, I used to do it with a PC, tear them apart, build them up, and really be proud. Now I just like things that work, because efficiency and productivity are more important today than me figuring out all the mechanics of things. But if we find something that works for us and it helps our productivity, we want to talk about it. So between all of us, we usually have quite a wide range of things that we can bring you.
Great. Thank you, Jeff. Looks like Ken has his hand up. Ken?
Okay, there we go. I got to magnify to find the mute. So a little comment here on that I thought might be interesting on the different size silicon adapters for the AirPod. I have heard on one of the podcasts I listened to, which is Leo Laporte, the tech guy, that there's some high-end AirPod manufacturers that make pods that fit really snug in the ear, really tight, snug fit, and that's increases the sound quality fantastically. I've heard, and what they say, that can really increase the bass response and all that kind of stuff. So that's the reason they like a real snug, tight fit, and they can tell, if it's a little loose, you can tell. That's what they say. So that's just a side comment. That's it.
Yeah, that's really cool, because inside the Apple settings for the AirPods, it will check for leakage. So it'll give you a test sound that you listen to, and the exterior microphone is listening to hear how much sound is coming out. So it may suggest you to go to the other size because there's too much leakage. So I think that's really cool that they've really thinking this through. And like I was said many times here, the personalizability of this, or for you to be able to personalize it to your hearing, your right ear, your left ear, is phenomenal in a sense. I did take the time to go through it all, and I haven't had to go back to it. I think my wife wants me to turn it up a little bit so that I listen, but I think that's more selective than it is the fault of Apple.
I think we all get that complaint.
Well, Bob,
Jeff,
can I, this is Bevy, can I, I'm sorry, I don't have a keyboard on my phone to be able to raise my hand.
That's okay.
And
Go ahead, Beverly.
Jeff, I wanted to ask you a couple quick questions. With my son, we just did a bunch of looking at Amazon and between the Bose and the other ones that are cheaper, with the idea of me, when my guide dog retires, using the cane and having a little bit more mobility information. But a lot of people with the Bose complained about, one, the heaviness of them, and two, the slipping off of the nose, which you did say something about that. And it sounds like you came up with a remedy for that. But I wondered and the thickness of them. I just wondered what your feelings were about those things.
That hasn't been a problem for me, especially once I put on the strap on the back.
Uh-huh.
And I think just that, even if you just took a rubber band, a small one or something, put behind the part that goes over your ear,
Uh-huh.
it just needed a little grip. But that's how it fits me. And this, when I came up with this, it was summertime and I was going for walks. So you do warm up and stuff like that. As for the heaviness, I didn't notice that. What these, they're not that heavy.
Okay.
Um, they're not that bad. But you know, if you ever get a chance to try them on, use them. That first time you hear the sound through them, you're going, "Oh my gosh!" It's like nothing's in your ear, but you hear it. Because it's
Right.
projecting it right at it. It's like these are really cool. And once you get used to them and you find your purpose for them, there is nothing like them. However, when you come into, if you want something noise cancellation or if you want the transparency, you don't get that from these. But that's why budget wise and stuff, if I had to make a choice between these two, being that I live in Minnesota, I would go with the AirPod Pros
Mm-hmm.
because I'm more indoors, or in most things we do in the wintertime involve being indoors, and not wearing sunglasses because they're cold and
Right.
that type of thing. But if I was down in California where it's always 73 degrees and sunny,
Not always, darling. Not always.
that song is wrong. What? Yeah, I would opt for, having both. I really would. If I only could have one, it would probably be the AirPod Pros because my ecosystem is based around the Apple system,
Right.
basically. However, like I said, you're incognito. I think I heard earlier, just you're just wearing sunglasses. You're doing fine, but you're listening to stuff. That thing is worth having them. I know the price went up a little bit on the new iterations, and I'm really interested in the tempos, and I might get them because of the sports factor. They stay on better, and they have 3 nose pieces, so that might be something you look for because you can interchange those and make it fit for you. Plus the different colors that are available. Yeah, I think it's kind of interesting. I wish we all had a chance to go to a Bose store and try these out and see what you like about them. But
Yeah.
typically, like I bought the AirPod Maxes, and 24 hours later, I sent them back. I could not believe I sent them back. I thought it was the dream machine, the world's greatest everything, but they were just those were heavy.
Yeah.
I never got over the fact that they were on my head.
Huh.
So, but the Bose,
Okay. Well,
once
thank
you're
you.
wearing those, they're nice.
All right. Thanks for your input. I appreciate it.
You
And
bet.
thanks for coming to talk to us too.
Hey, love to. Anytime.
All right.
Great, Jeff. I really do appreciate you joining us today and sharing all your great knowledge about the AirPods and the Bose frames. I think we all got a lot out of it. And so I want to thank you on behalf of Vista Center here in Santa Cruz. We certainly appreciate you being here. So thank you very much.
And
Thank you, Jeff.
You bet. Thanks, everyone. And I was really glad I could do this, and I got to beef up on my knowledge on this stuff a little bit. So I was really glad to come out here and talk with you. And great
Jeff,
question.
one question.
Yeah.
Where
Thank
are you
you.
located?
What's that?
Location?
Hello?
I'm in
Hello?
Fridley, Minnesota.
Can't hear you.
Hello?
Audio sub mute my audio button.
You're good, Jeff. Go ahead.
Who made your mic? Oh, all right.
Yeah. I'm from Fridley, Minnesota, just outside of Minneapolis, up here in Minnesota, where we have those 2 weeks of summer.
Oh my gosh.
Actually pretty good right here. We're in the melting season right now. We're up in the 40, 45 degrees and heading towards 50 and just for a week or so here, but another month or so here, we'll all be ready for spring, and hopefully the vaccines and everyone stay safe and stay strong, stay informed and everything. And we'll
You too.
visit you guys down there in California as well.
Welcome. Welcome.
Jeff, the name of your podcast again?
It's 2 words, Blind Abilities.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah, and there's a free app in the App Store or on Google Play. It's Blind Abilities. That's 2 words.
Blind.
You can download, and it'll be just an icon on your phone. So, especially for new users of the iPhone, it's the simplest way to learn how to do it, where you don't have to learn about how podcatchers work and all that. You can just tap on it, and there you have 725, at least that many, to choose from the library.
He also has a
Ah.
lot of great blog posts on his website that goes into a
Blind
lot of detail.
abilities, correct?
Correct.
All right. Thank you. Wonderful.
As Serena calls it, BA.
All right.
All righty. Thank you,
Thanks, Bob.
everybody. And we hope you all can join us next month, and we'll have Shane from SuperSense on to talk with us. So thank you, everybody. Appreciate you coming today, and we hope to see you next month.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you so
Jeffrey.
much, Bob. And Jeff,
Thank
Very much.
you. Great presentation.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks.
Bob, can I request one thing? Please put on chat next time. You don't have to manage it. It's okay.
I do have to manage it.
Yeah, it does take quite a bit of extra work. So maybe we'll find somebody who will help be a co-host on the program.
The other thing about chat, for some people, they don't know how to turn that off. So their voiceover will walk all over the conversation as well.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes it's a problem. Like if someone sends something to everybody, then people who don't know how to shut it off, they're getting 2 sounds coming in.
Yeah, it is very distracting.
It can be.
Okay. All right. I didn't know that. Thank you.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
then-
So is there a way to actually turn it off other than just muting the voice over speech
There
for the
is.
chat?
There is.
How
And
do
you
you,
can, well, it depends on what device you're using. And the other complication is if you're using a Mac and you're using VO, it's the same keys that they're using. So you have to switch it to your caps lock, and it gets convoluted a little bit, especially when you have to go that deep into something just to make something simple. It's not simple, but it's simple more so on a PC than it is on a Mac, I believe.
yeah, I'm using a iPhone, the app on the iPhone.
Yeah, so I would suggest shutting off your voice screen reader during
that's
the thing. Yeah,
that's what I end up doing. Yeah, so.
but then you miss all the chat too.
Well, the chat's really distracting when I'm trying to listen to what the speaker is actually talking about. So,
well, and especially if people are submitting questions through chat, and I'm trying to read the chat screen while it's
Yeah.
scrolling by. So it's
Or if you're in the middle of a presentation, all of a sudden something goes off like, "Hey, you guys, how y'all doing? I'm having a good time." Blah blah blah, and you're trying to ignore it a little bit, but it's just yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alrighty. I'm gonna stop the recording here. So